You are being fed a lie. The outdoor industry wants you to believe that if you aren't shooting a brand new, geometrically complicated cartridge costing $5 every time you pull the trigger, you have no business in the woods. It is a manufactured scam designed to empty your wallet and make you feel inadequate. Today, we are stripping away the hype and counting down the 7 hunting calibers with an unshakable cult following. We begin with the .243 Winchester, an unassuming giant that proves shot placement beats sheer foot-pounds of energy. Next, the .45-70 Government, an 1873 legend that punches through thick brush like a freight train. For those dreaming of the horizon, the .300 Winchester Magnum provides the psychological armor needed for the hunt of a lifetime. We then honor the .270 Winchester, representing a golden age before you needed a smartphone app to calculate a shot. For pure reliability, the .308 Winchester remains the undisputed king of practical common sense. Then comes the .30-06 Springfield, the bedrock of American hunting that the industry tries to kill every 5 years. Finally, the caliber that humiliates the modern snobs, the .30-30 Winchester. It represents the reality of the working man, proving that hunting isn't about shooting far, it's about getting close. Don't fall for the scam, protect the heritage. Starting off at number 7, we have the caliber that the industry desperately wants you to misunderstand, the .243 Winchester. If you listen to the forum experts or the guys who spend more time talking than actually hunting, they will tell you the .243 is just a starter cartridge. They frame it as a hidden trap, something you buy for a kid or a beginner to be outgrown the second you can handle a real man's rifle. This is a misconception that causes many hunters to abandon one of the most perfectly balanced pieces of American engineering ever produced. In reality, the .243 Winchester is a quiet, unassuming giant. Introduced in the 1950s by necking down the legendary 308 case, it resulted in a phenomenally flat-shooting, inherently accurate legend. It has put more venison on American dinner tables than almost any of the modern magnums combined. The obsession with the .243 doesn't come from raw, shoulder-bruising power. It comes from trust and fundamental skill. It forces the shooter to prioritize placement over sheer foot-pounds of energy. Those who stick with the .243 into adulthood are the ones to watch out for because they don't rely on massive recoil to compensate for bad habits. The recoil is a joke, making it a joy to practice with, and the ammo won't require a second mortgage. Don't let the social stigma manufactured by the industry elites fool you. The .243 Winchester represents efficiency and gets the job done without the hype. Moving to number 6, we encounter the immortal bruiser, the cartridge that simply refused to die, the .45-70 Government. This is where the story gets incredibly revealing about American hunting psychology. If you look at the raw timeline, the .45-70 should not exist anymore. It was born in 1873, and by all the rules of modern marketing, it should be a museum piece. For decades, the industry elites tried to bury it, telling us we needed flat shooting, high-velocity wizardry, and claiming that heavy, slow-moving lead was a thing of the past. But the American hunter simply refused to let it go because there is a deep primal obsession with its stopping power. The .45-70 is the ultimate insurance policy in thick brush. When you are moving through dense timber where shots are measured in paces rather than hundreds of yards, a modern Magnum bullet might deflect off a heavy twig. The .45-70, however, punches through the brush like a freight train. This caliber taps directly into our survival-minded nature, giving the working-class hunter absolute peace of mind. Whether you are in bear country or hunting deep in the cedar swamps, carrying a lever-action 45-70 makes you feel like you are holding a piece of unstoppable American history. The industry eventually had to surrender and start making modern, high-pressure loads for it, but our loyalty wasn't born from their new ammo. It was born from our grandfather's trust in a heavy piece of lead that simply gets the job done with no questions asked. While it drops like a rock past a couple of 100 yards, nobody buys a 45-70 for long-range math. You buy it for the undeniable authority it commands. Number 5 on our list is the .300 Winchester Magnum, the ultimate dream maker. Most people think of this as simply a big, loud cartridge, but if you truly understand the psychology of the American hunter, you know it represents something much deeper. For the blue-collar, working-class guy, an elk hunt out west is not just a weekend trip. It is a decades-long dream. It is something you save up for, putting overtime dollars into a jar for years. When that once-in-a-lifetime tag is finally drawn, you simply cannot leave anything to chance. The obsession with the .300 Win Mag is rooted in the fear of failure. When you have spent thousands of dollars, driven halfway across the country, and are finally staring across a canyon at the animal of a lifetime, you cannot afford to wonder if you have enough reach. This caliber eliminates the doubt. It hits with the hammer of Thor at distances that make other calibers weep, while the elites will show you ballistic charts of new, ultra-efficient cartridges. They miss the psychological armor that the .300 Win Mag provides. It has a decades-long track record of putting massive animals on the ground in the harshest conditions on the continent. The pros are legendary. Massive energy retention, a flat trajectory, and ammunition that you can actually find on the shelf of a dusty hardware store in Wyoming when the airlines lose your luggage. You don't obsess over a .300 Win Mag because it is economical or soft on the shoulder. You obsess over it because it guarantees that when the moment of truth arrives, you will not be the one coming up short. At number 4, we encounter the ultimate debate starter and the symbol of traditional defiance, the .270 Winchester. If there is a cartridge that exposes the deep divide between classic American hunting tradition and modern tactical snobbery, it is this one. The modern industry looks at the .270 and shrugs, claiming the bullets aren't heavy enough, the twist rates are old-fashioned, and it doesn't fit neatly into a short-action rifle. But that is just a load of garbage manufactured to sell you gear you don't need. The obsession with the .270 Winchester is a romance born from the golden age of American outdoor writing, specifically from the legendary Jack O'Connor. The reason the .270 became a religion for millions of hunters is that it delivered exactly what was promised. A cartridge that shot flatter than anything else available, hit with devastating shock, and didn't break the shooter's shoulder. For the budget-conscious woodsman, the .270 was magic. You simply sighted it in a couple of inches high at 100 yards, and you didn't have to think about bullet drop or holdovers out to 300 yards. You just put the crosshairs on the vitals and went to work. The .270 represents a time before you needed an app on your smartphone or a ballistic computer to calculate your shot. It represents the pure, unadulterated woodsman who values skill over technology. The guys who carry a .270 today do it out of defiance. They know that a well-placed bullet is just as lethal today as it was in 1925, and they know the new stuff is mostly just marketing designed to reinvent the wheel. Coming in at number 3 is the ultimate utilitarian truth, the .308 Winchester. If you talk to a high-end bespoke rifle maker, they will often tell you the .308 is boring. They want to sell you a custom-chambered Wildcat cartridge that sounds like a sports car. But out here in reality, the .308 Winchester is the undisputed king of practical, no-nonsense reliability. The obsession with the 308 isn't flashy. It is an obsession based on preparedness, survival, and financial common sense. The 308 is the caliber for the man who refuses to be trapped by supply chain shortages or proprietary ammunition rules. Because of its military heritage as the 7.62 by 51mm NATO, the 308 is ubiquitous. It is everywhere. If the world stops spinning tomorrow, the guy with a 308 is still going to be able to feed his family. This cartridge is the ultimate middle finger to the elitist gatekeeping of the shooting industry. It doesn't need a massive barrel to burn all its powder, and it works flawlessly in short-action bolt guns, AR-10 platforms, and lever actions alike. The guys who are obsessed with the 308 are the ones who value their peace of mind over a flashy title. They know that inside of 400 yards, there is absolutely nothing walking in North America that a well-constructed 165-grain 308 bullet won't drop cleanly. The pros are undeniable. Ammunition availability, barrel life that outlasts the shooter, inherent accuracy, and short-action efficiency. While it drops faster than the modern magnums at extreme distances, 99% of hunters have no business shooting at those distances anyway. The 308 keeps you honest and grounded in reality. At number 2, we reach the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, the 3006 Springfield. Why isn't it number 1? Because the industry trap is thinking that sheer dominance equals the deepest obsession. The 3006 isn't just an obsession, it's a religion, serving as the bedrock of American big game hunting. Every 5 years, the industry releases a new cartridge claiming to finally be the 3006 killer. They measure everything against it because it is the standard against which all other things are judged. The obsession with the 3006 comes from its unbelievable and limitless versatility. You can load a 110-grain bullet to vaporize varmints or a 220-grain round-nose bullet to shatter the shoulder of a charging grizzly. No other cartridge in history has offered that level of true working man versatility. If you could only own one rifle for the rest of your life to hunt anything on the planet, the 3006 is the smartest financial and practical choice you can make. It requires a standard length action and has a bit of a push to the recoil, but the men who carry a 3006 don't complain about recoil. They carry the heritage of their fathers and grandfathers into the woods, rejecting modern fads in favor of a massive historical legacy. It represents the American identity and a bloodline of hunters who value performance over marketing hype. It is the measuring stick that stays relevant while trendy calibers fade away. Finally, we reach the ultimate reveal at the number 1 spot, the .30-30 Winchester. Let that sink in for a moment. By every single metric the modern outdoor industry uses to sell you a rifle today, aerodynamics, velocity, and long-range energy, the .30-30 is a complete failure. It fires a flat-nosed, aerodynamically terrible bullet that runs out of steam past 150 yards. The modern ballistic snobs and industry elites openly mock it, laughing at its limitations from their corporate offices. But here is the hidden truth that humiliates the experts. The .30-30 Winchester represents the ultimate reality of the American hunter. While the elites dream of $4,000 sniper setups taking shots across pristine valleys, real life is different. Real life is walking through a frozen Appalachian holler or sitting in a handmade plywood deer blind in Michigan. In that world, the 30-30 has put more meat in the freezer, fed more families during the Great Depression, and initiated more young men into the outdoors than any other cartridge on Earth. The obsession is rooted in the platform. You don't just shoot a .30-30, you carry a lever action that points like a magic wand and carries effortlessly in one hand. When you buy a .30-30, you aren't buying a ballistics chart. You are buying a piece of your heritage and rejecting the hyper-commercialized, ultra-tactical nonsense of the modern industry. You are looking the elites in the eye and saying you don't need their $5 a round titanium hype. Your grandfather's battered Winchester Model 94 still does exactly what it did a century ago because hunting isn't about shooting far, it's about getting close. The .30-30 Winchester is the absolute heartbeat of the American hunter. In conclusion, do not let the flashy numbers on a ballistic chart deceive you. The outdoor industry is actively trying to erase our history and push us into expensive, unproven gear that complicates our lives. The real value in the hunting world lies in the classics, the tools that have proven their worth when the weather turns bad, the chips are down, and the freezer is empty. You aren't falling for the scam anymore. You know that the real American hunter measures success by traditions passed down rather than high-velocity wizardry. If you are tired of being led by the nose by corporate gatekeeping and want the unfiltered truth about what actually works in the real world, you need to subscribe to this channel right now. We are building a community that respects common sense over corporate hype. Share this video with a younger hunter who is about to waste his hard-earned money on a trendy new caliber he doesn't need. Save him from an expensive mistake and help us protect our heritage. Stay sharp, stay prepared, and I will see you in the woods.